The Zack Files. How I Fixed the Year 1000 Problem. By Dan Greenburg, illustrated by Jack E. Davis. Chapter 1. Some people think the world is going to end when we hit the year 2000. If they're right, I won't have to take a horrible history test the day after Christmas vacation is over. Still, I hope the world doesn't end. Well, pretty much. The year 2000 problem has to do with computers. A lot of computers in the world aren't going to know it's 2000. They're going to think it's 1900. I thought computers were smart. But it turns out they may be dumber than Vernon Manchufel, who's this kid in my class. Anyway, when we hit 2000, the computers are supposed to have a nervous breakdown or something. And everything is supposed to go haywire. Oh, I should probably tell you who I am and stuff. My name is Zack, I'm 10 and a half, and I go to the Horace Hyde-White School for Boys in New York City. I'm spending the vacation at Dad's. My parents got divorced a few years ago. And I have to admit, most times it's when I'm with Dad that weird things happen to me. Like the time I accidentally ate 2 packages of new diet powder and shrank down to the size of an ant. Or the time Dad and I were in Central Park. We discovered a UFO with an alien inside who didn't know there was intelligent life on Earth. Or the time my grandma came to visit us and started growing younger and younger. Luckily, Dad stopped her before she got her tongue pierced. Anyway, back to the end of the world. Yesterday, even though I was on vacation, I went to the public library. The main one on 42nd Street. I was studying for my history test, in case the world didn't end on midnight of December 31st. The test is on the year 999. Our teacher thought it would be cool to learn about the last millennium. The library was quieter than a morgue. I don't know if it's quiet in a morgue, but it seems like it would be. The reason it was quiet in the library was that most normal people were out doing fun holiday stuff or else at home worrying about the end of the world. I looked through some old books about the Middle Ages. The pages were so old they were crumbling at the edges. My history test was going to be about the panic in 999. A lot of people thought that the world was going to end when the year 1000 began. But the old books didn't really say too much about the year 999, so I moved to one of the library computers. After a lot of searching, the computer came up with some pretty cool things. Lots of stuff on 999. Stuff about con artists. They had amazing scams to cheat people who were afraid it would be doomsday when the year 1000 arrived. They even listed some of the con artists' names. The funniest one was some guy named Count Up So High. Some of the pictures I found in the computer were of knights fighting a dragon. In the Middle Ages, they really thought there were dragons. I found another drawing that was kind of cool, too. It showed some kids at school. They were in some old castle or something. You could see lots of books on shelves in back of them, so maybe it was a library. On the wall was a sign. I couldn't quite make out what it said. It looked like Dragon Slayer's Academy, but I couldn't be sure. I leaned way in close to the computer screen and squinted to see if that's what it said. That's when the really weird thing happened. I lost my balance and fell onto the screen. And then through it. Then everything went black. Chapter 2. All of a sudden, I heard voices close by me. But they had a funny ringing sound. "Egad," said somebody. "Zounds," said somebody else. "Yorks," said a third voice. "Where did he come from?" "He grew out of this book," said the first voice. "But we need fear him not, for he is dead." I opened my eyes. Ooh! My head was killing me. Bending over me were 3 faces. Their eyes were so wide I thought their eyeballs were going to fall right out of their heads. He is alive, cried one of them. They all jumped backwards. Hi, I said. What's up? I blinked. It was like little stars were circling above my head. He is talking, cried one of them. But he speaks not in English, said another. That is because it is not a real person, said the third voice. It is a demon. It popped right out of that book. What else but a demon could pop out of a book? I sat up and looked around. Now I could see them more clearly. There were 3 boys, about the same age as me. The biggest one was kind of pudgy. He had sandy-colored hair. The other 2 were smaller and skinnier. All 3 were dressed in weird clothes. They wore loose shirts that looked like girls' blouses, and pants that were more like tights that dancers wear. What did you think it said? Asked the pudgy one. Nothing. Just sounds, said one of the skinny ones. He had red hair and freckles. It wasn't just sounds, I said. It was words. And it is so English. I shook my head to get rid of the ringing sound in my ears. All 3 of them looked alarmed to hear me speak. The other skinny one who had straight brown hair and a serious face took a step forward. He was obviously the bravest kid. He raised his sword and started walking toward me slowly. Pray, sir, who are you? He asked. A demon? No, I said. A boy. Just like you. He is a demon, yelled the fat boy. Demons speak in tongues. Demons speak whatever language you do. And they pretend to be just like you. What was this kid babbling about? Where am I? I asked. I was starting to feel really scared. You are in the library, sir, said the serious-faced boy. The one on 42nd Street? I said. It doesn't look at all familiar. You are in the library of DSA, said the serious-faced boy. DSA? I said. What's that? Dragon Slayers Academy, he said. Why did the name of their school sound so familiar to me? We are Dragon Slayers in training, he went on. Oh, right, I said. You guys believe in dragons? Believe in them? Said the serious-faced boy. Pray, sir, how could we not believe in them? We see them almost every day. Get out of here. I said. I beg your pardon, sir, said the boy. Are you ordering us out of our own library? Sorry, I said. That was just an expression. What was going on here? These guys were the weirdest kids I had ever met. Why were they dressed this way? And what was all this talk about dragons? Then it hit me. The clothes they were wearing looked a lot like the ones in the pictures on the computer. The ones of people in the Middle Ages. Was it at all possible that falling into the computer screen had landed me back in the Middle Ages? I had to check this out. By the way, I said. What year is this again? The boys looked at each other and snickered. Do you not even know the year? The serious boy asked. Of course I know the year, I said. But tell me anyway. 'Tis but 2 days before the millennium, he said. The year is 999. Oh boy. By falling into the computer, I had somehow traveled back in time 1,000 years. How the heck did I get here? More important, how the heck was I going to get back to the year 1999? Well, one thing was for sure. I had to make friends fast. My name is Zack, I said. What's yours? Eric, said the serious-faced boy. These are my friends. He pointed to the pudgy guy. This is Angus. His uncle is Mordred, our headmaster. He pointed to the red-haired kid who hadn't been saying much. And this is Wiglaf. He is our newest student. He has already killed 2 dragons. Whatever, I said. If they were going to stick to this dragon-slaying gag, who was I to spoil their fun? Wiglaf, the red-haired boy, stepped forward. If you are not a demon, he said, then, pray, how did you pop out of that book? I don't know, I said. There I was in the library on 42nd Street, studying for a history test, working on a computer, and... A computer? Said Wiglaf. Pray, what is a computer? A computer is kind of a combination of an electric typewriter and a TV. Electric? Said Eric. Typewriter? Said Angus. TV? Said Wiglaf. Okay, I'll explain all that some other time, I said. Anyway, 1 minute I was using a computer and looking at stuff about your school, the Dragon Slayers Academy. The next minute, I lose my balance and fall into the computer and wind up here. By the way, where is here? Just off Huntsman's Path, said Wiglaf. Not far from the dark forest. The closest town is Toenail. Oh boy. I had a feeling I was a long way from 42nd Street. Pray, where do you come from? Eric asked. From New York City, I said. There is no such place, said Angus, the pudgy kid. No, of course not, I said. Not now, I mean. But there will be. Oh boy. How was I going to explain time travel to them when I didn't even understand it myself? Look, I said. I came here from a city way in the future. From a city in the year 1999. He is lying, said Angus. I know why he is here. Wiglaf and Eric turned to him. Why is he here? They asked. Do you not remember the prophecy that Yorick read? Said Angus. What prophecy? I asked. And who's Yorick? 'Tis a prophecy about the world ending, Angus said. He grabbed a piece of parchment and waved it in my face. I looked at the parchment. It was covered in fancy old-time writing. I read it out loud. The year 1000 fast approaches, none will survive except the roaches. Say hello to Armageddon, for that is where we're surely heading. Earthquakes, firestorms, flaming pits, black plague, brown plague, gas pains, zits. How to know the world will end. Beware these signs, my frightened friend, when chickens bark and dogs meow, when pig-faced calf is born to cow. Chickens in East Armpitsia have already started barking like dogs, Angus interrupted. And a dog in Pinwick was heard meowing like a cat, Wiglaf added. Just then we heard someone yelling down in the castle yard. The 3 of them ran over to the slit in the castle wall to see what was going on. It's Yorick the duck again, said Angus. Doom! Doom! A giant duck was waddling through the courtyard below, shouting. A milkmaid in West Wortswallow has heard tell of a cow in North Ninnyshire that gave birth to a pig-faced calf. Eric turned to me. You see, he said. Another part of the prophecy has come true. And now you pop out of the pages of a book, said Angus. Could it be any clearer? Strange things are happening all over the place, because the world is about to end. They all stared at me. They looked really scared. Who wrote that prophecy stuff? I demanded. It sounds phony baloney to me. We know not who wrote it, said Wiglaf. But all is not lost, for Count Upsohigh has figured out a way to save us. What's that? I asked. Count up so high? That name was sounding very familiar. The golden hippopotamus, said Wiglaf. The golden what? Everyone in the land is to give Count up so high all the gold they can find. Wiglaf explained. He will make a big gold hippopotamus. At the stroke of midnight, the Count shall break the mold. And the golden hippopotamus will save us all. Listen, I said. That makes absolutely no sense. The world isn't going to end, whether you give this Count up so high all your gold or not. How do you know that? Asked Wiglaf. Because, I said. I'm from the year 1999. If the world had ended in the year 1000, would I be alive now? He is not alive, shouted Angus. He is a demon. Oh, stuff a sock in it, Angus, I said. Stuff a sock in what? Said Angus. Never mind. I said. Then suddenly I remembered where I'd seen the name of this Count up so high. Count up so high is a big fake. I was reading about him just before I got here. They just stared at me. I could tell they weren't buying it. Look, I said. I'll prove to you that I'm from the future. Look at my sneakers. Your what? Asked Wiglaf. My shoes. I pointed. Have you ever seen anything like these? Never, said Wiglaf. What manner of thing are they? Asked Eric. They're Nikes, I said. Nikes, said Angus triumphantly. Behold! These shoes once belonged to Nike, the Greek goddess of victory. Who but a demon could steal the shoes of a goddess? Angus, you're really starting to bug me, I sighed. I stood up and tried to think. The way I saw it, convincing these kids I wasn't a demon was my first problem. My second problem, the really big one, was how to get back to good old 1999. But first problems first. I dug into my pocket to see if there was anything that might convince them I was telling the truth. I pulled out a pack of bubblegum. What is that? Asked Angus. A sweet? It's bubblegum, I answered. It won't be invented for another 950 years. I popped a piece into my mouth, chewed it up, and blew a huge pink bubble. All three boys screamed and backed away from me. A boil, screamed Angus. The demon has the plague. The prophecy of doom has begun. All three boys ran out of the library. The bubble burst all over my face. Hey, wait! I said. Come back! I ran after them. I chased them across the cobblestone courtyard. A bunch of boys were scrubbing the cobblestones with brushes and sudsy water. The cobblestones were slippery. I tripped and fell. The boys who were scrubbing the cobblestones stopped and stared at the bubblegum all over my face. I tried to peel it off. I don't have boils. I shouted. I don't have the plague. Boils, cried the boys in the courtyard. The plague! They scattered in all directions. I got to my feet. I chased Eric, Wiglaf, and Angus down the dirt driveway and onto a dirt pathway. They were fast, but I was wearing my Nikes. I was gaining on them. When I was almost up to them, they skidded to a stop. I nearly crashed right into them. Hey, guys! I said. I'm glad you stopped. Now I can prove to you that I don't have. I stopped talking. Eric, Wiglaf, and Angus weren't even looking at me. They were staring straight ahead. I looked in the direction they were staring and I saw why they'd stopped so suddenly. About 50 yards up the path was the worst-looking thing I've ever seen in my life. A gigantic reptile. It had a tail like a crocodile and wings like a bat. It had a long neck and